finding ways that you can be authentic in yourself in marketing is probably the most honorable thing you can do for your business, no matter if it's you're marketing a sale or you're marketing your services. It's still like there's so many cool things that you can do about it.
Welcome to Multifamily Insights. I'm your host, John Casman, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. If you are enjoying this show and getting some great value, please leave us a rating and review. We want to hear your honest feedback, all right? It helps us and it helps other listeners find this show and get the value they need for their investing goals. Now, listen, we've got a great show today. We're going to be talking to Lisa Benson. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you want to grow as a multifamily investor, you have to spend more time with other multifamily investors. And an easy way to do that is to join our apartment investing mastermind group today. Just go to casmancapital.com and click on the mastermind button. Now, as a part of this group, you'll get access to expert trainings, group coaching calls, industry news and updates, as well as all of our webinars and workshops, including our 3-hour workshop on raising capital. Again, if you want to be around other multifamily investors that can help you scale your portfolio today and grow your network, make sure you're a part of the Apartment Investing Mastermind. Just go to casmancapital.com and click on the Mastermind button today. Now, Lisa Benson is the founder of DeBella DeBall Designs, a digital marketing agency that helps veteran entrepreneurs and small business owners grow and scale their businesses. Now, her journey started in the Army, where she developed leadership skills and resilience, which have helped her build the foundation in her approach to her business. After the military, she transitioned into entrepreneurship, using her background in communication management and public administrations to dive into strategic marketing. Let's welcome to the show, Lisa Benson.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely, Lisa. It's great to have you on. I went over your bio at a very, very high level. Why don't you take 2 minutes and fill in some of those gaps?
Well, I guess the biggest parts of the gaps is how I came up with my name and what I did besides my entrepreneurship, because work-life balance is really important to me. I came up with that name because I played roller derby. Roller derby was a huge part of my life and a part of my transition out of the military, because I did have PTSD. I'm a disabled veteran due to that PTSD. And my father suggested I did that in order to be able to create some balance while exercising and doing something that I loved. So, you have your monikers. Wrestlers have their monikers. That was my moniker, was DeBella DeBall.
I love it. I love it. So I know you mentioned, this was kind of your transition from coming to the military, and thank you for your service.
Mhm.
Uh, as you kind of go through that, you know, what was, I have so many different places I want to take this. So I'm trying to gather all my thoughts and calm down. So
You can go all the different
I know,
directions.
I know.
Figure one
I'm
way and
trying
then
to,
we'll go another
I
one.
know. So let's start here. Okay. So for you, you found roller derby. Your father suggested it. Why
Mhm.
did he suggest, like, that's not like the kind of thing most fathers suggest for their daughters, right? Like, you should go do roller derby. Like, I feel like there's a, a bigger story there. And how impactful was that for you to find kind of this outlet for yourself to, get, like you said, some of the physical work in, the exercise, but also the mental side of it?
So to start out, I've roller skated since, I'm going to show my age here. I've roller skated since the 70s, the late 70s. I started skating at 2 at a local roller rink, and my dad was one of my coaches. So he knew that that was my happy place. And when I was struggling, when I came back, he was like, there's something that we can do more here. I was the girl that wanted to play football in high school, and that wasn't really acceptable at that time. And he thought that this might be a great transition and allow me to get that kind of aggressive nature and get all that kind of that emotion out in a way that's healthy. And it created a great community for me, because my husband was military and he was deploying, and we were on a every other year deployment cycle. And when I got out, I got a group of friends, family. You love them, you hate them, and all of those things all at once. And I got to travel the world. I coached in South Africa, I coached in Mexico, I coached in England, and a whole bunch of other places. So I got a lot out of it. And it kind of filled my soul in a time when I didn't have that chance to have my soul filled other ways.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. And I think too, it's interesting, like just how these things we enjoy as we're younger, and maybe we don't necessarily spend a whole lot of time thinking about it and being introspective. But you talked about your father knew that that was your happy place, right? That was a place where you felt comfortable. and you kind of had that more aggressive nature. And this was a great outlet to combine those two, and also gave you a chance to explore, to travel the world, to coach other people, and get some value, get some of those skills elsewhere. So that's great to hear. Let's
Yeah,
transition. I
it
want to talk.
also was a
Yeah, go
place where
ahead.
I got to learn, hone in on my marketing skills because it's do it yourself, bootstrapping your whole business, which is what most of roller derby is. And you just learn the grassroots. When it doesn't work, you pick it up, try a different method. So that's what gave me some of the strategic ideas that I use even today.
Well, that's where I wanted to go, right? So, how do you go from the military roller derby to a marketing expert helping other entrepreneurs?
Well, I started marketing on and off. I was a DJ when I was younger. And then I went to film school for a period of time, and there were some things that I didn't like about film school. So I went and I got a bachelor's in communications, and then I kind of moved on from there. And I joined the military because my parents divorced, and I needed to have something to pay for school because they made too much money, so I couldn't get any aid, but they didn't have any money to give me, so I had to find a way to pay. So that's why I joined the military. And from there, it kind of I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I kind of fell into marketing, back into marketing, and finding ways that you can be authentic in yourself in marketing is probably the most honorable thing you can do for your business, no matter if it's you're marketing a sale or you're marketing your services. It's still like there's so many cool things that you can do about it.
I love how, the vibe I'm picking up is that you really have figured out whatever life throws at you. You look at it, weigh your options, and run, right? You talked about
Mhm.
one, just being in college, deciding to go into marketing, need some money, realizing you couldn't get that from your parents, decided to go to the military to get the funding necessary there. When you came back home after deployment, you kind of turned to roller derby, which was a safe space for you. I love the fact that you keep looking at life in these situations, figuring out a solution, going, and then just figuring out the next step as it comes. I know for most entrepreneurs, that's kind of, in a way, how you go through it, right? Being an entrepreneur is life just throws
Mhm.
stuff at you, whether it be, losing a client or, losing an employee and business happening. And marketing seems to be something that many entrepreneurs struggle with, especially in the real estate world, where, maybe they focus on the thing, the thing that we do, the reason I got into being an entrepreneur, right? Creating that widget, providing that service. But marketing that service or marketing that widget tends to always be a challenge for folks who don't come up in that space. What's kind of your first conversation with someone who reaches out to say, hey, I could use some help. Where do I start?
The first thing you got to do is divorce yourself from it.
Mm.
Because so often we get lost in our messaging. We think what we need to hear is what our prospects need to hear. And that's actually not what they need. Most of the time, not what they need to hear. So you have to be able to take yourself out and look at your proposition statements and your sympathy statements. And your proposition statements is like, for who do I serve, the target audience? Um, what is the thing that I solve for them? And I'll share this with you after the podcast if you want to be able to put it in show notes. The product name and serves this kind of marketing category, and then the benefits, because we want to focus on benefits. We don't want to focus on features, which is hard for people specifically in real estate to understand. Because features, are amazing. A three-bedroom house with three bathrooms is amazing, but what is it? That's features. Why is that a benefit for a busy family? Is what you want to kind of talk about, kind of thing. And then you've got why you're unlike your competitors, and then the product or service and your unique selling proposition. And then you gotta kind of want to come out and do your sympathy statement, which is actually where the meat and potatoes hit. And that's when you're something that they're doing in their life and the problem that they're facing for it. So in that using the bathroom situation, when you've got three kids and your wife's getting busy, ready for work, do you need more bathrooms to make your morning? I'm oversimplifying it, but make your morning move smoothly so you don't have to wake up at 2 a.m. so everybody uses it. And then you want to knock into the effects of it. And then you want to talk about how that makes you feel, how they should feel, because why they should feel that way. And then I know I've tried blank, and this is the results that I've gotten. So I'm gonna actually share those with you so that way you have access to them and we can share that with the audience because this is a pretty easy way to get clear on your marketing messaging. It's the simplest way and it's the easiest way to divorce yourself. And you can actually, if a lot of people use ChatGPT, it's easy, or whatever version of AI you use. If you've used it enough, you can plug this in and it's going to help you.
That's so powerful, and we'll definitely link to this. What we'll do is we'll create something where you can download this. But you're talking about two statements, right? The first is what we
Mhm.
call a proposition statement, and that is being very clear of what your business is, who you serve, how you serve them, right? So that's getting
Mhm.
into the customer, that's getting into the category, that's getting into the competition. What are the benefits? And I want to come right back to the benefits because I think that's really important. And then the second thing you talked about was a sympathy statement, which is not a term that I've heard before, but what you're getting at is really understanding the so what, right? So certainly there's the features and the technical. We help, investors earn passive income through real estate. Sure, great, right? That sounds good,
Mhm.
and we all have it on our websites. But there's an emotional component, and that is the hook. And that sympathy is really understanding the pain point that that person is going through, right? The goals that they have long term, the risk tolerance that they have, the fears that they have, and understanding that sympathy statement that allows you to really connect with someone. And that's going to be the difference in, actually driving your business, selling that product, selling that service, and unfortunately not having that success. You mentioned benefits over feature, or I wrote down benefits over features. You said, I think, hey, you should be talking about the benefits or highlighting the benefits, not the features. I think some people miss that. I see it all the time in real estate, right? It's always the numbers:
Mhm.
3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,000 square feet, AC, central air, whatever, right? They just list out all of the features. What's a better way for us to do that to really highlight the benefits instead of focusing on those features?
Well, I'm going to mention this part. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. If not, you've heard it in a different way. When people are being featured to death and they're being sold to all the time. So if you can speak to them with sympathy and talk about the benefits of these, you can still highlight the features, but you got to do it by what's the benefit of the feature. You, they need to, and you don't need to list 900 things. They need to know this house is perfect for them to use the house, or this apartment is perfect for them because it fits this. They don't have to stress because they've got a place to put their head. They're three minutes to taking their dog for a walk. Don't focus on the parks 3 minutes away. You can take your pet for a walk and they get to be in, you can be in nature in moments. Those are the kind of, that's a benefit because so often we're in our desk, we're at our desk and we're hammering home all those things. But all of this, when you are, because I know everybody uses a chat function or an AI function, when you start digging in, you can say, these are my features, but what are my benefits?
I love that because the benefits, it's like the so what. So you can list out whatever the thing is. And if you
Hmm.
add so what to the end of that, now you're starting to get into the benefits. And using that example you mentioned with the dog, it's like there's it doesn't seem like a big difference, say the park, 3 minutes from the park versus, you can walk your dog every day, right? Like the park is so
Hmm.
close, you can take it for daily walks at the park, as opposed to a park being 10 minutes away, which doesn't feel that far, but I'm not walking every day, to the park for 10 minutes. So those
Hmm.
little nuances are definitely important and help to drive that connection, particularly with that customer. What are some of the other challenges that you see, particularly with the clients that you work with when it comes to trying to grow and scale their business?
They don't look deep enough. They stay
Mm,
at the surface level. And it's similar to what you were just saying. I like to go at least 5 layers deep in their why,
mm.
but why? But why? Why is that? And you just kind of interview them and you can pull out the nuances that they don't even realize they know them, but they don't realize they're not conveying them. Marketing is about what the other person hears. It doesn't matter what you feel about your mission. A lot of us create our business because our mess is our mission, right? Something that bothered you in the past has now become your focus because you were able to solve it for yourself. But not everybody knows what that problem was. And you don't need to harp on it too much. You just need to say, I came up with these solutions, and this is why it would be a benefit to you.
Going deeper, for some folks, I think particularly when you have entrepreneurs, because some of them, many of them, are solo entrepreneurs, or they have someone that they work with who just has a completely different function, and they don't have someone like yourself to bounce these ideas off or to give that broader view to help them recognize maybe where they're missing an opportunity or not clearly communicating a benefit. Talk to us about the value of working with someone like yourself or working with, any kind of professional to help with marketing, just to provide that perspective and to give that better direction.
The biggest thing is we can look at it from the outside in. We have a different set of eyes on, and we can ask questions. If you don't have the luxury of working with an outside professional, one of the things you can do, I know everybody does their doom scrolling on social media. When you get the chance to be on social media, start asking questions to your ideal audience, whether it's in groups or just anywhere, and just say, are you interested in blank? Or I'm working on a new service that I'd love to be able to offer. Anybody take a survey for me so I can make sure that I'm hitting the mark? You'd be amazed at how many people want to help you out.
Mm, I love that. That's a great tip too. And when you
Mhm.
talk about tapping into your audience, one, just asking questions. Now you're starting to get a sense of what challenges they're facing. You're getting some real feedback. It's really like almost, real time focus groups, asking a
Exactly.
question, posting something out there, getting that
Mhm.
feedback. And now you can adjust. You can see what kind of things really resonated with people. And sometimes there's a problem that you solve, but maybe you've been focusing on something else and you didn't even realize that this was an opportunity out there. Highlight a win. When you look at your clients, where's one that you say, man, this person had so much success, or I'm really glad that I was able to work with them to help them achieve their goals?
I have a coaching client that I work with that I started. She's actually guided me. So it kind of was a twofold thing. I started out as one of her social media managers because she needed somebody to come in to manage her. In the military, we call them third country nationals, but they're people that are spread around the world. She had freelancers working for her, and she needed somebody to wrangle them and be able to communicate with the clients. She's got 30 clients underneath her, so I help her help them market their businesses. And we've been able to pivot and adapt and adjust to all the changes from COVID till now because we've been fluid and we've been able to ask people questions. Um, One of the biggest things that we have is in as being entrepreneurs is we come up with ideas, we come up with solutions all the time, right? One of her suggestions for me was you got a notes app on your phone, just drop those ideas there. Then it won't eat up your brain time, it won't eat up all, and it won't become a sole focus. And then you shift all this good stuff you've got going on and go this way because that idea takes over. If you drop it off as soon as you have it, it's clear and you can bring it back when it's time to do that. And we'll talk about that later on how to prioritize some of that so you can keep your work-life balance.
I love that. I know anyone who is creative knows that challenge of having this idea, now you feel like you need to lock in on that, but you got distracted from whatever it was you were supposed to be doing, and you'll wake up and look up and you haven't really accomplished much. So trying to prioritize and get those
Hmm.
ideas executed is certainly a challenge many people have. Let's go back to that entrepreneur because a lot of our listeners are multifamily investors. They're looking to scale a portfolio. Many of them are looking to raise capital from their private friends and family, raising capital from those investors. And they're trying to figure out, well, how do I raise more money? You know, do I need to say something different? Do I need to do something different marketing wise? Should I be more on social media? Should I be focused more on email marketing? As you think about those individuals and just entrepreneurs in general trying to find ways to scale their business, there's obviously a limitation of resources, right? From a time standpoint, a human capacity standpoint. How do you assess whether or not or where someone should, spend their time as far as the mediums that they choose to leverage to connect with an audience?
Wherever your ideal audience is needs to be your primary target. So because they're looking for investors and they're tapping into a network, yeah, you could be on Facebook, yeah, you could be on TikTok, yeah, you could be on Instagram, but I actually think your focus needs to be more like a LinkedIn style or anywhere where the professionals that have the finances or any place or the resources outside of the finances can help you out. And when you do it, you don't have to spend time each day on it unless that's the way you like to process. Depending on what software you have, you can, and even in LinkedIn without having a professional thing other than your page, you can schedule out to 30 days. So you could batch create so that you're not feeling overwhelmed. And speaking about LinkedIn, because of what you're doing, you need to come up with a way to come off as a subject matter expert or a go-to in the, and that could just be talking about just create a little article, couple articles a month, maybe one a week, and you can put those right into chat and then personalize them and make it where you become the subject matter expert. Like you could talk about why you look at certain types of properties, things that you need to look at. There's enough room for everybody, no matter their expertise in the world. There's not a limited amount of resources other than time that we have out there. So don't feel like you're giving away your tools and your secrets and your everything. You're giving people a hand up, not a handout, and that's just a huge win globally. One, but two, people start to trust you and understand that you're not just out there for yourself, you're out there for the bigger cause.
You said there was room for everybody, and I really like that quote because I know when I was starting out, and this was, for this podcast, um, this is I don't know, year 7, year 8 on this show. And before I launched, I remember sitting down with another investor, another podcaster, and I knew them from their podcast, and they had no idea who I was right before that. However, during our conversation, we were talking, and he said, "You should start a podcast." And I said, "The world definitely doesn't need another podcast." This is 8 years ago, by the way. So I'm
Hmm.
like, the world definitely doesn't need another podcast. And I I know I felt that one, what do I have to say? What do I have to contribute that's not already out there? Why what makes me the expert to go out there and say it? I had done a few things here and there, but certainly not to the extent where I felt like I should be the authority teaching other people. And we can call it imposter syndrome or just a sense of, I didn't feel like I should be the one doing that, at least not at that stage. Talk to that listener who, and obviously I got over that for different reasons, but for that person who's there, they want to grow, they want to scale their business, but they're hesitant to do these things because either A, there is some imposter syndrome, or B, they just feel like there's a clutter of what's available and that they don't think their voice is going to stand out or reach anyone.
Well, that's your uniqueness. That when you go through it and you're talking about your unique proposition, the thing that makes you different and stand out is the thing you need to highlight. The thing that, I mean, I was a hyperactive kid. I don't know about you. Had a lot of energy, chitty chatty, all the things, because I had ADHD that was undiagnosed. So, like that, I was that kid. And it's those things that made me become a DJ, get into film, get into the things, and lead me to where I am today. I embraced it. I'm also if I'm going to do it, I'm going all in kind of gal. I mean, obviously, you can tell from my history, like I'm a problem solver. I'll solve it for myself or I'll solve it for you. What I love to do for when we bring clients in is we do a VIP day. We start everybody with a VIP day or at least a couple hours of a session with me so that we can really dig in and find out the issue. Sometimes it's a systems and processes issue, and sometimes it's a marketing messaging issue. Sometimes it's all of it. Um, Systems and processes are pretty easy. There's software out there. You can develop the strategy for them. And as long as they're going to follow it, successful. Um, Marketing messaging, I gave you the basic template of what we do to talk about how to fix it. But the thing is, all of it boils down to what's your unique message, what's your unique thing that you bring to the table. How many investors are there in the world in real estate?
Who knows?
One of the things that makes you different is you're helping people with your podcast. You train people how to do it, and you give them the hand up that they need. That's the thing that you sell and you bring across, and that's how you eat, breathe, and live your life. If there's things that drive you that make you want to do all that, embrace it and make that your unique thing.
I love that. And I think it's so important too to recognize that. I know for me at least, starting a podcast, once I realized that I didn't have to be Tim Ferriss or, one of these huge podcasters, that wasn't my goal, then I could be myself, right? I think
Mhm.
what happens is sometimes people have unrealistic expectations. And when you put yourself out there into the marketplace, into the public, you know, uh, it is, a little vulnerable to do that, right? And to maybe get some criticism or feedback or whatever the case may be. And some people aren't ready for that. And what I have found that made me comfortable was recognizing it wasn't about me. It's kind of what you just said. There are people out
Mhm.
there who need to hear this message for whatever reason. Like you talked about your background. There are people listening to us right now who, either themselves, they were in the military, or they have family or friends who are in the military who are going to have a connection with you as you talked about your journey, your story, right? Um,
Mhm.
there's obviously, the different demographic things that people will connect with. And I realized that it was important to see people that look like you doing the thing that you want to do, because particularly in real estate, when it comes to apartment investing, syndication, large commercial real estate, most of the people I saw were middle-aged white men, period, right?
Mhm.
And there's not that's fine, but I'm saying it made me question whether or not I could even do it starting out,
Oh, I could
because I
only
didn't see
imagine.
anybody that looked like me doing it. I didn't have the network, and couldn't call my college buddies and be like, "Hey, I got this deal. Everybody put up 100K." They didn't have 100K. So
Right.
it was a different thing, and it made it challenging. So that representation, I think, is so key. And that goes back to your point, is like, what's your unique selling proposition? Sometimes it's not about coming up with this new widget, this, best in class thing, this better mousetrap. It's you, it's your story, it's your journey, it's the authenticity, it's what you stand for. And people are
Mhm.
looking for folks who have shared values, and they want to do business with people who have those shared values. And that's really important. And just sometimes we got to get out of our own way and focus on those things, as opposed to maybe trying to come up with, the best in class application for finding the greatest deals in the world. Just be a good person. Just be a good person.
Yep. Lead with
Learn
your
the
heart.
business, lead with your heart, learn the business, take care of your investors, continue to focus on your education so you can do really good deals and build a great track record. But it's not necessarily about, having the best in class technology or tools and suites, especially when you see that, some folks maybe don't have the same character. Just talk about the empathetic side of it, right? Because you mentioned that sympathy statement. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, how important is it to lead with empathy, to lead with your heart, to make those connections, and to operate a business built on doing good?
When you lead that way, you can look at yourself in the mirror. That's the biggest thing for me. Like if you lead with your heart and you lead with authenticity and you are uniquely you, people gravitate to you. I mean, I can't even, all the things you said wrap up into the sympathy statement and wrap up into leading with empathy. I do want to say that if you're doing it right, you are going to get some trolls. You got people who want to keep you, and they can be your friends. Um, and they don't like that you're growing because they don't understand and they want to stay stuck where they're at. That doesn't mean that they have to be out of your life. They just need to be in another circle in your life. I think of it like concentric circles, and I just put them in different places because if they're not supportive of me and what I'm doing in my business, I can't have them in my everyday. As you can see, I've got small eyes and I was born that way. And I had some trolls on TikTok. Like, I don't trust people that I don't see their eyes. Well, I also was a machine gunner in the military, so I can obviously see out of the eyes that I have. So we can go into detail there, but I didn't respond that way. I reported them and then created other accounts to do it. If you don't have those kind of people in your life that are naysayers, you're just staying the status quo. You're staying, you're not rising above, you're not doing anything to be different. And if that's you, that's fine. Absolutely. But if you want to make a difference and you want to make an impact, and you for your life, for your family, and for society, you got to stand up and be not be afraid to rise up. And if you believe in what you're doing and you're authentic to who you are, the rise is going to be a lot easier.
I love it, Lisa. You specifically have a spot where you focus on helping veterans. I know you help all, entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
but specifically you lean towards veterans. Talk to us about why that's so important to you.
My husband and I are both veterans, both disabled veterans. We've had multiple friends that haven't been able to cope with the world outside of the military. They went from having that structure, that everything, they come out, feel lost, and eventually they succumb to drugs, they succumb to um, life choices that aren't necessarily the smartest for them. And we're losing 22 a day. 22 veterans a day, and that's the round number. There's some days more and some days less. That's entirely too many. And that's because they don't have the resources and they don't, when you get into the VA system, you don't feel cared about, you don't feel heard. And that's originally, I had a public administration degree because I was going to take on the VA. And when I realized the VA is so corrupt that you have to just create another option for them, you can help them get the resources so they can get the health care and they can get the mental health. But as far as being treated as a human, they need other people that can give them that support and know that they're not alone.
Oh, wow, that's important. You mentioned that we're losing 22 veterans a day. Is that to just illness or
Suicide,
to?
drugs, overdoses, anything that um, making poor decisions is probably the best, or life-ending decisions is probably a better way to say it. Whether
Got
it's
it.
ODing or whatever, fentanyl is a big thing for the military. A lot of people who come out play a lot of video games and they're constantly being re-traumatized by the visions and the things that are in the video games and don't even realize that that's having the impact. There's a lot of traumatic brain injury from explosions, from noises, from everything that they're just not. It's the care is getting better, but giving my husband helps me with the business and we want to make sure that the veterans are at the forefront of what we do. And so when we find out about a veteran business that's suffering, there's options available to us that we can uh, just go in and augment them and help them. And we can create a payment plan, we can create all those things. Or if it's that bad, we can just come in and help them. And then down the line, tell them, referral's the best thing, right? And when you're doing a marketing business, if somebody likes what you do, they refer you and that gets you the more business and that referral snowballs. I'm not sure about that within the investment, but I'm sure that it does help when somebody can trust you and they can build that connection. Then they bring other people into the circle, which means more money,
No, I
more
appreciate
action.
that, and I appreciate you sharing it and shedding some light to the challenge because I think sometimes we hear about some of the challenges, but not necessarily all the context, or it's just it's kind of surface level. So it's really good to hear you shed a little light on the situation. For our listeners, for those folks who want to get involved, who want to help, is there something we can do, resources we can go to figure out ways to better support our veterans?
The biggest thing is there's local groups that you can support. There's Pink Berets, which is a very women's focused. Um, it's a newer organization. The VFW and the Legion, those are ones that always they've been around, since the 20s and the 30s and up into the 70s they started. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but there's local red, white, and blues, which you can go in and you can just walk with veterans and talk with veterans. There's other Purple Heart Society. Those are definitely people who are um, not just disabled, they're disabled due to something that happened in war.
Right.
So they just need people that are going to talk to them like humans and just be there. Being present for them is probably the most uh, impactful thing you can do.
No, I
There's
appreciate that.
also, for those that are in investment groups, there are groups that are doing, like there's a place in Austin. Somebody actually put up a whole bunch of tiny homes for veterans. There you can get, because of what you guys do and some of the access and resources you have, that could be something that you could get involved with and find ways to either create your own version and have the government fund it, or you can help support the ones that are local.
There's definitely programs out there. One of the things I always tell, folks who are looking at real estate, particularly small multifamily, there's VA loans, which have some of the most attractive terms out there. So, one of the other things as an investor yourself, if you know of other veterans who are looking to get started, starting to invest, make sure you're sharing information like this with them so that they can understand what resources are available to help them kind of make that transition and achieve their goals there. For folks who do want to learn more, they can connect with you. Go to your website at DeBella DeBall Designs.com. I'm going to put a link to that in our show notes
Mhm.
so you can check it out there. Right now, we're going to transition and go to our round of insights. All right, Lisa, give me a failure or an apparent failure that set you up for later success.
When I couldn't pay for that education, I didn't get it done in the 4 years that I wanted to. But had I not, I wouldn't be where I am.
There you go. Give me a digital or mobile resource that our listeners should check out.
I love it's here somewhere, my best planner ever. This thing has been amazing for me. It's called the best planner ever. And it breaks it down by day. You put an affirmation out there, you make sure that each day you realign with your business's vision and mission. And then you do your tasks A, B, C, D. And that means A needs to be done today. B can be done, but it's not priority. C, you can put it on a different day altogether. And then D, you delegate it. And once I decided that, and I started doing that and helping other people do that, I learned that from Jennifer Dawn coaching. It just made my day exponentially better, and I didn't spin my wheels because I prioritized the tasks that I need to have at the forefront, and then I knew what I could do after those things were done.
Give me the book you've recommended or gifted the most in the last year.
Book I've recommended and gifted the most in the last year is 10X is Better Than 2X.
Great book.
I love it. I've read it multiple times. Every time I feel a little off, that's definitely when you look at Dan Sullivan, and I can't remember the other guy's name. When you look at what they've written and the progression of what they've written, this is absolutely the best book that they've written.
Yeah, it's a great book for sure. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. Give me a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your goals.
I listen to a meditation at 5:30 when I get up. And I have to get up at that time because the dogs want to eat. And then I do a power hour with a friend of mine that you don't do anything but work on your business, not in your business. So you're not doing any client work, you're not doing anything like this. That's when you get all your emails set to schedule out. You check in on what your tasks are for the day, and you really just hone in so you make it a priority. And it doesn't get the leftovers, because if you don't put any time and energy into your business or on your business and only in your business, you're not going to get the new customers, you're not going to get all the new things that you need, you're not going to get the funding that you need because you're not reaching out to the people you need.
Give me your number one insight for leveraging marketing to scale your business.
Consistency. It's building blocks. It's like when you build a building itself, you have to have a solid foundation, because if you don't, it doesn't matter what you put on top, it's not going to stay.
Love it. Great job there. All right, let's lighten the mood. You are in Fort Hood, Texas. Give us your favorite place to grab a bite to eat.
We used to have a place called German Imbiss, and it's not there anymore. So, Brick Oven in Kempner.
Brick Oven.
It is a German restaurant, but they make fresh pretzels, the big brochen pretzels, and they're just good. You gain like 30 pounds just looking at the goodie case, but it's delicious. And when you're having one of those days or you just want to have a client meeting, you can go out and have a good meal and sit there.
There it is. Sounds like a great choice. We'll put that on the list there and in the show notes. Lisa, really enjoyed our conversation today and you sharing your story. My takeaway is, one, just the resiliency, going from, kind of your upbringing, going to college, going to the military, coming home, making that transition, your father just, saying, hey, I think you might enjoy roller derby. You get into that, launching your marketing agency and helping veterans, not just veterans, other entrepreneurs as well, but specifically helping veterans in your cause. The tips you gave us on marketing: one, make sure we understand that proposition statement. What are we trying to do in our business? And then the sympathy statement. Probably one of the areas where I think many people miss is it's kind of the so what, why should someone care? What is the thing that this is going to change for me as a user? And that's really important for us to think about. That's going to allow us to go deeper, asking those why questions so we can get to the root connection that's going to allow us to grow and thrive our business. Again, for folks who want to learn more, they can check out your website, DeBella DeBall Designs.com. We'll link to that again in our show notes. Lisa, I just want to thank you again for being a great guest and coming to Multifamily Insights. We look forward to staying in touch with you, and I hope you have a great day.